Good morning, team. It is Tuesday, December 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm with Kevin Van Eck live out of the Goose Island office. So grab your mug and join us for our last episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin for 2020.
Yes, good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Hope you've got your coffee ready. Like Amy said, it's our last coffee of 2020, so this is pretty exciting. And we're going to try and keep the wheels from coming off the wagon. Today, we're going to talk about the top 5 takeaways. So what we mean by that is over this past year and most recently in the It's All About Love program, we've talked about a lot. We've covered a lot of topics. There have been a lot of takeaways. There are a lot of things that we've learned and we've implemented and we've practiced and done. But we really wanted to hone in on the top 5. So these are things we can think about as we're in the holiday season and going into 2021. The top 5 things that we either learned or implemented or practiced during 2020 that are going to continue to propel us into the new year.
Yes, thanks, Kevin. I'm super excited that we're doing this. We had so much stuff going on this year, and we thought it was only appropriate to kind of hone in on the big takeaways. So number 5 is the idea that we are not alone. I know this year was crazy. We had a global pandemic. We had our city shut down for a while. We all had to stay at home and shelter in place. There was a lot of scary stuff going on, but I think what we all learned during these last 9 months is that we aren't alone, that we are in this together. And as Allie Love says, she always says, #don't break team. And I will tell you, we didn't break team. We all stuck together through the tough parts, through the funny parts, and just really kind of rode this out as a group. And I think if anything, we should all realize that we've got people in our corner. And even though we all run our own businesses and we all have our own set of crazy clients and our own set of personal challenges, we have to recognize that we are one unit. At Properties as a company is a community that we can all rely on. And when we need it most, it's going to be there for us. So I absolutely loved that. I think this year more than ever, even though we were all not physically together, I think we were together in spirit, we were together emotionally, and we were together to move all of our businesses forward.
That's such a great one. And number 4 comes right off of that. The number 4 top takeaway of the year is coming from a place of abundance and not from a place of scarcity, and realizing that collaboration beats out competition. And so with that, when we talk about coming from a place of abundance, think about how we felt back in March. Think about how we felt when we didn't know what the world was going to bring. Amy just mentioned how things may have been scary and we didn't understand and we were isolated. And if we came from a place of scarcity, if we came from a place of fighting for every little bit of business or every conversation with a potential client or whatever it might be, I don't think we would have ended up having such a great year this year. And so when you come from a place of abundance, realizing that there is opportunity out there for everybody, including yourself, including each one of us, and coming from a place of, hey, the person that we're either working with on a transaction or the person we're competing against, so to speak, is not our enemy. They are our friends. They are collaborators with us to help us continue to grow. So the people in your office, the people within At Properties, the people at other brokerages, these are all people that are much better to collaborate with than to fight and compete with.
I love that one. So number 3 that we picked was the idea of practice makes perfect. So maybe we don't think it makes us perfect, but it makes us more prepared. And even more importantly, it makes us less nervous, because the more we prepare for any given situation, let's face it, we are going to perform or do better. So again, this year and these last 9 months, there was a lot of downtime. There was a lot of time where many of us had the opportunity to take a look back and see what things can I be perfecting right now as I'm sheltering in place, as I can't get out and about and do as much right now. And I would say one of the best series or pieces where we saw a lot of people put practice into place was in Do It Now. It was that intensive 30 days where you really took a look at your business and said, how is my listing presentation? How is my presentation with buyers? How are my scripts? What's my value proposition? Do I really have that down? And have I articulated that well? And it really gave so much time for us this year to be be able to take a look at that. And then we saw the outcome by some of you, or many of you, actually focusing on the practice piece when the market did pick back up and we did have the opportunity to get back out there. So many of you saw great success. We saw so many people pass through roadblocks and really accomplish great things this year. So the big thing is to remember to continue to practice. We know that it gets busy and sometimes we just get transactional, but continuing to practice is going to help you create continued success into 21.
I love that one. Practicing is so important. And so number 2, put your oxygen mask on first. So this is a huge takeaway and something we talked about at the beginning of It's All About Love. If you remember, the first part of, if you remember, All About Love is love yourself. And it's so important because oftentimes we neglect ourselves. We spend our entire career, and if we have families, doing the same thing where we take care of other people first. We make sure that our clients are okay, that they're emotionally, confident in what's happening in the transactions. We take care of our families. And this year was different than others too, with kids at home and e-learning and different things happening in the job market. So we often take care of others first. We need to remember that we need to love ourselves too, because at the end of the day, we can't help others unless we are stable, unless we feel confident in what we're doing and in our roles. And unless we take care of ourselves in things like the morning routine, things as basic as drinking water in the morning and exercising and reading something for growth or watching a video for growth. If we don't do those things, we're not going to be able to take care of other people long term. And we know this. We saw this at times during the last 9 months where we were so stressed out and not taking care of ourselves, where we sometimes collapsed and hibernated and we didn't talk or respond or text people back. And maybe we weren't responding to potential clients. We can't do that. We have to make sure that we put things in place. We need to make sure that we love ourselves and that we take care of ourselves first so that we can fully love others and love what we do.
Oh, that's such great advice, Kevin. And the number one thing that we put on our list is what matters most, and that's relationships. I think if there is one thing that we all learned this year is that relationships are our connection to everything. It's our connection to love. It's our connection to our businesses thriving. It's the connection to what gets us up in the morning and inspired. And relationships, I'm going to tell you, was the one thing I think that was the calm in the storm. I remember when we were hitting March and everyone was really nervous. All of us were. Many of you thought, what's going to happen to my business? And, as Kevin and I started getting onto coffee in the morning and talking with all of you and sharing ideas, the one thing that we really focused on is the fact that there were a lot of things that we could not control. We couldn't control the fact that there was a global pandemic going on. We couldn't control that there was a shelter in place. And so what we asked all of you to do was to focus on and channel your energy towards the things that you could control. And that was primarily your relationships. And so many of you jumped right on in and really started focusing on reaching out to others, simply asking them how they were doing. Could you be helpful? Were there things that you need? And it was amazing to see how that ended up translating. We talked about it ultimately translating into business, which was great for everyone. But I think what was even more important is it really translated into deeper connections with others, authentic relationships that you began to build over these 9 months. And it also created an opportunity for you to really see what drives a business. It's important to put postcards out there. It's important to, have a great experience for people that you're in a transaction with. But ultimately, it comes down to the relationships you develop and the connection that you are creating with others. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be real. And the other thing, and I remember Thad said this on one of the What Would Mike and Thad Do Wednesdays. And he said, listen, when you are trying to develop relationships, you need to make it about them. When you make it about them and really listen to what they need, what's important to them, it ends up becoming about you. And it does because things come back to you when that relationship is authentic and they feel like you're really hearing them, listening to them, and really want to develop a connection with them. So we would say relationships are number one. And the thing is, we heard about it from so many people. There was one story that somebody shared about one phone call that ended up turning into 4 different transactions. That one connection created 4 opportunities for business. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about relationships, and think about it as you get crazy busy. You can't always make 10 phone calls, but can you make just one? And if you make that one, what might happen? Because I'm a huge believer that if you throw nothing out into the universe, guess what the universe does? Nothing. It has nothing to respond to. But if you do one thing, if you throw one thing out there, it's got to respond in some way. So think about that as you're going into 2021. Think about the relationships. Think about what you did this year and drive it forward into next year, into your practice. It's going to help you on a personal level and also on a professional level.
Boom! That was the best way to cap off the top 5. So this isn't the end, right? This is the last coffee of 2020, but that doesn't mean that it's all about love or 60 days of summer or do it now or any of the programs we did this year are over. Looking into 2021, we have much more coming for you. So the first thing is we're putting together the Perfect Series. So you'll see the Perfect Series roll out, and you've probably already either heard of or hopefully attended the classes that Amy and Tom Downing and Paul Blackburn taught, the Perfect Listing Presentation and Perfect Buyer Strategies. We're adding to that series. So we'll have Perfect Prospecting, Perfect Negotiation, and more. And you'll see all of that roll out in 2021. We also have more office level training that your managing broker will be coordinating and participating in to bring you together as an office within your own market. And then lastly, the seasonal training. So when we talk about seasonal, we're talking about the do it nows or the it's all about loves. You'll see more of these larger scale programs where we can all participate together, share our successes, and collaborate to power ourselves forward. So stay tuned for 2021 because there's going to be much more coming. And we know that everything we've done so far in 2020 up to this point is going to make 2021 a great year, but that doesn't mean we stop. Like Amy said, it doesn't mean when we get busy that then we neglect everything we've learned and everything we've done. In fact, it's a perfect time to ramp it up so we all continue growing, both internally and externally in our businesses.
So on that note, we want to wish you an amazing holiday season. Have a happy, healthy new year. And Kevin and I can't wait to get started with you in 2021.
Okay, everyone. So make it a great day. And remember,
love yourself,
love others,
and love what you do.
And there's no better time than now
to do it now.
Boom! We'll see you in the new year, everyone.